Hello. Today, me and Billy are experimenting with creating Tudor headdresses out of different bits and pieces of linen as described in the documents in our database of over 55,000 items of dress and textiles. So here's the image we're working on today, and we're trying to recreate the linen headdress worn by this lady in the tawny brown gown. The first thing we've both done is do up our hair, as you can see, in plaits, which we've sewn to our head using a blunt bodkin. So we've got a really nice firm foundation to pin against. And then we've been experimenting with making an unseen foundation of linen that you can't see on the painting, but we're pretty sure that she's got to have something to pin to. So what we're using is this type of little cap, which is based on lots of surviving examples in museums, usually called a coif, and it's basically a rectangle of linen which is got a gathered in section at the top here, and then a drawstring in the bottom so that on the wearer it's drawn in. It's a really clever design because you can basically ungather it, launder it, press it and store it flat, and then when you bring it out it's all nice and smooth and ready to use. And although the examples in the museums are late in our period, they're late Elizabethan and early 17th century, it's based on a design, we believe, which was around for much longer, just because it is a very functional, clever design that works. Of course, in all the images you just don't really see them because they're underneath all the other layers. So I'm just going to put this cap on over Billy's dressed hair, turn it to the side so you can see. In fact, let's turn you all the way around. So you see it's sort of shapeless and not doing anything, but when we pull in these drawstrings, tucks into the nape of the neck, tie the ties, all the way around and back again. Turn you around again. Now, what then happens is it kind of flaps away from the ears. This is a particularly small little cap. So what we've done is on quite a few period images, you can see a little hint. Just if the sitter's got her head to this angle, you can just see a little hint here of a strap or tie of some sort. So we've just got, for the purposes of this exercise, just a bit of cotton tape, which we're just pinning in place to secure this cap really snugly to the face and create a foundation to pin into. So that's the foundation, nice and secure. And it makes quite a good proportion to put over the head this way. When we look again at Our Lady, it sits in just about the perfect place on her shoulders, that yard going this way. But you end up with all this out the back, which I don't think if that lady turned around in the image she'd have that much linen. So we kind of guessed that maybe it's a yard this way but only half a yard the other way. So we've got a piece of linen, and actually the other key to this, we think it is just like it would be the lady's nicest bit of fine white linen. It would be freshly laundered, and it might even have some kind of sizing or starch agent in it. So actually, Billy, I think if you give that piece of linen on the ironing board another press, because one of the features you can see in this image and in lots and lots of images from the period is that the there's this crease in the middle that makes it almost like a kind of heart shape around the face. And that's very simply done by just folding your linen in half, ironing it so that you get a really good crease in the middle. And I think Billy's going to use a little bit of spray starch just for our experiment today, but of course in period it's not going to be spray starch, it would be some kind of natural starch, so a corn or grain starch mixed into a paste and put into the linen. But we've chosen the finest linen we could, which isn't really as fine as some of the linens that were available in the 16th century. In the 16th century you could have linen that was so fine you could almost see the skin through it, and it's just not available now. And sometimes when we want to recreate something that has that superfine linen in it, we'll use either a cotton organdy or silk organza, because those are the modern fabrics which have that sheer kind of look. But this linen that we're about to use actually is pretty nice and fine. And of course it does mean that it's not so heavy, so it's a lot easier to keep on the head, because there isn't the weight pulling it down off of the back. I should show you actually, this is the other piece that we tried first. This is what was probably called in period a quarter, and we do get quarters a lot in the documents. So that's just we guess it's an 18-inch square. But that didn't provide enough over the head for this particular image, because it doesn't go over the shoulders. So we definitely need a yard across the front of the face and down over the shoulders. Okay, so here we are, the yard by half a yard folded in half, and with a nice crease so that it should make this kind of heart shape, or upside down, this heart shape on the head. So the pins we're using for this experiment are just regular dressmaker pins, just sharp pins. When we do it for our photo shoot for the Typical Tudor book, we'll use nice handmade brass pins, but since they tarnish quite easily and they bend, for the purposes of experimentation we'll just use modern dressmaker pins. So the linen is just going to be positioned right on the top with this lovely crease, and until we get it all fixed up I'm just going to put a pin in the top here to actually stop it sliding off of the back of Billy's head. Then, what was the next thing we did, Billy? I think the next thing was the pin at the back, wasn't it? Yeah. So the linen really tucks in around the back of the neck. So let me actually maybe go this way, because it's really bright in here in the studio today, and it's making it a bit difficult to see details. So I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to drop my pin and evenly find the centre and just pin the two pieces of linen together kind of at the nape of the neck. I'm going to make the point of the pin go upwards so that hopefully it doesn't poke into the neck. And then on this side, as we look at the images again, we reckon the pin goes into this little cap underneath. Like that. Let's do the other side. My computer wants to go to sleep. That is pretty much what we're seeing in the image that you balanced. And if I turn Billy around so you can see the back, we can't see the back of this lady, but this seems proportionally pleasing, and it covers the back of her neck, so it's quite decent. I think that's pretty much what's going on. The only thing we thought possibly that Billie suggested is that maybe there could be an additional pin in here just to really tuck that fabric close to the head there. So I'll just try that, see if it makes a difference. I think further round.
Maybe.
See, the thing about these headdresses, the more we play with them, the more it becomes clear that the things that you look at in an image that look really complicated are often very, very simple. It's just working out the proportion of linen, the layers underneath that you can't see. Once you've worked it out, you can imagine that this lady would have put this thing on her head in a couple of minutes. And we were saying earlier when we were messing about, I imagine these women just looking down on us and thinking, for goodness sake, it's very simple. All you have to do is 3 pins, this bit of string. But they didn't write any of this stuff down, so experimental archaeology is the only way to do it. But anyway, I think you can agree that Billie looks pretty fabulous and suitably early 16th century. So I think this is one you're going to be seeing in the Typical Tudor. So look out for that.